Namaste students. As we were discussing about the chapter science, today also we'll be continuing the same chapter. In the previous class we discussed about how do we produce sound, and we did various activities as well as we saw how various instruments produce sound. And in today's class we will be continuing the same discussion which we had in the next class about sounds. Students, do you agree that we humans produce sound? If we produce sound, how do we produce sound? Those are very obvious questions which comes to our mind, because presently I am producing sound, you are listening to me. In the previous video, our sir explained about the things, he was also producing sound, you were listening to it. Now how do we produce sound? That is a very obvious question. Now let us look into that. If you look at this place, and if you place your fingers and if you try to imitate swallowing process like this, then you can feel some movement over here, right? That movement is because of the voice box, that is our larynx. Now because of that voice box or larynx, we produce sound. And now you must be very excited about how does this voice box produce sound. That is a very obvious question which may be coming into your mind. So voice box is at the upper end of the windpipe. Two vocal cords are stretched across voice box or larynx in such a way that it leaves a narrow slit between them for the passage of air. When the lungs force air through the slit, the vocal cords vibrate, producing sounds. Muscle attached to the vocal cords can make the cords tight or loose. When the vocal cords are tight and thin, the type or quality of sound is different from that when they are loose and thick. Do you know that different people have different voices, and that depends on the working of our vocal cords. Now if the vocal cords are thick, then there is a production of different sound. If it is thin, there is a thin passage of air between that, there is completely a different sound. You must be always thinking about, why does your father have a different voice? Why does your mother have a different voice? Why do you have a different voice? Why I have a different voice? You must be thinking about this. Now the answer lies in the working of your vocal cords. We can feel this with the help of some activities which can be done very well at your home itself. Do you know, students, we can see how our vocal cords work. For this we'll do two activities which you can perform very easily at your home, and you can understand how the vocal cord works. For the first experiment we'll be needing two rubber strips. This you can get it anywhere, two rubber strips. Now what I want you to do is just stretch it and then blow some air through it. So you can hear a sound being produced over here. Okay, so here what we did, we stretched it and there was a gap in between these two rubber strips, and as we blowed the air, there was a production of sound. Now we'll see one more activity for which we have to take one paper. Now fold this paper, as I say, one fold, then two folds, and then the third fold. Make sure the folds are not very big, not very small. You can take small papers as well. Now the folds are like this. Now as you can see, one fold and the other side, the other fold, and there is it is like this. It should be working like this. Then make a small hole with the help of scissor, or you can do it with your hand as well. Okay. Now a medium sized hole when you play, and then hold it like this, or if the paper is small you can hold it like this as well. Make sure that this portion is outside and you are blowing air from this part of the activity. Now there is a gap over here, so we'll try to blow air and let's see what happens. So you can see how loud voice it can create just by blowing air into this. Right? Now what is happening again? There is a gap in between and I have made a structure from where the air can pass on. Right? This is what happens in our vocal cords as well, and that's how our vocal cords produce sound. These are the two activities which you can demonstrate at home, which you can make at home and enjoy and visualize the working of vocal cords. So we will understand this in detail. From this activity, we generalize that our vocal cords also works in a similar manner. Now can you think about why does your parents and me and you have a different voice? Why does males have a different voice and why does females have a different voice? Now can you make a guess? You can pause the video over here and you can think about this question for some time. Now the answer lies in the size of the vocal cords. The vocal cord in men are approximately 20 millimeter long. In the case of women, it is 15 meters long. While in the case of children, it is very small. And that is why you must have felt that the children's voice are pretty louder compared to the men and women. At your home, you can very easily observe that all the male people have a different kind of voice. Like the voice will be very heavy. You can observe in my voice as well. But when you observe the female counterparts, the voice is very thin. So that is because of the size of the vocal cords. Now after this very discussion, you must be thinking that how is the voice getting reached to us? Suppose you are calling your friend for playing or having a discussion. You call Mr. X, come here. Now if that person is at a particular distance, how will he or she will listen to your voice? That is an obvious question. There is a particular distance amongst you and the other person. There is a distance. Now how is he able to listen to your voice? How is he able to listen to the sound? That is the question. Now we will be performing some activities based on this so that you can understand how the sound travels to a particular distance and at the same time in different mediums as well. We reached to a question that how does sound travel? How does your friend able to hear you? How your friend is able, how are you able to hear your friend? Or how are you able to hear me? Right? These all things come in a way like how sound travels. So for this we'll do one activity. You need a big tumbler, that can be glass tumbler or anything. I have a plastic tumbler. Then I have a sound producing object. We have mobile here. Now I'll play a sweet song over here. Now let's see what happens. Now you can hear the sound. Now here you heard the sound and the sound was pretty high. When I increase the volume, obviously it will increase. So let's see what happens when we put it in tumbler. Right? The sound increased. Okay. Now we'll get on to extend the activity. Now I'll put both of my hands over here. Let's see what happens to the sound. Right? As you can see, as I put my hand over this, completely trying to close all the possible directions from where the air can go in, the sound reduced, the volume of the sound reduced. Now let's take the activity as one step ahead. Now what I'll do, I'll put it like this, and I'll try to suck air whatever the gap I have over here. Let's see what happens. You can see observations, you can observe this activity, and you will have a greater understanding of how sound travels. So let's see it. Now you would have observed that when I started to suck air from the tumbler, the sound further reduced. That means that traveling of sounds need air. Over here we saw air, but to generalize this, we can say that traveling sound needs a medium. Like if you want to hear someone or talk to someone, there should be a medium in between. That will be the reason why we can hear sound or say something to someone. That's how sound travels, and that with this activity we can very easily generalize that sound needs a medium to travel. As I was removing the air from the tumbler, the sound volume reduced. As I put my hands on the tumbler, I obstructed the path of air to go inside. There is not much air going inside, and at that particular situation as well, we observed that the volume of sound reduced. Now if somehow we remove complete air from inside, we create a vacuum, is it possible that the sound will travel? You can think about this, and obviously the answer will be no. Every time the sound travels, we need a medium. As we discussed, sound needs a medium to travel. We saw the example and the activity of sound traveling through air. Now the obvious question will be, can sound travel through water as well? How does the water animals in water communicate? That will be obvious question. So let us perform an activity and try to understand whether is it possible that we can hear sound from the water. Like can the sound travel through water? Here I have a ringing bell, right? You can hear the voice. Now what I'll do, I'll put that in water and try to put my ear very near to the water. Now why? If I do like this, the sound is very less, right? I'm trying to ringing the bell with the same intensity, but when I put that in water, I can hear very less sound. But the catch comes when you put your ears on the water, because it is traveling through water, and then again there is a air medium over here and it's coming to me. Now what I'll do, I'll try to reduce the air medium, try to put the ear on the edge of the water. Please be careful when you are performing this activity that water doesn't go to your ear. Be careful in that. Okay, now what I'll do, I'll ring it here, and yes, now I can hear the sound of this ringing bell loud and clear. Now you can perform this activity with a tumbler. It need not be a glass tumbler. It can be any tumbler. I used glass tumbler so that you can see the ringing of the bell as well. Okay, you can use any tumbler, steel tumbler you would be having at your home, the plastic tumbler which are used to take wash clothes. You can use that, and with the help of that you can very easily understand that sound even travels through water. Okay, and you can very easily answer yourself, where is the sound more? In air, the traveling of sound is faster. In air or in water, you can answer it for yourself. Now the obvious question would be, does the sound travel in solid as well? Let us do one more activity for that. This is a very simple activity to understand how sound travels through solids. Now if I knock this, we can hear a sound, but that's very feeble sound. Now what happens when I knock it and try to put my ear on the desk? You might be playing with this many times in your class. What I need to ask you is, when you are doing this, try to observe sound, the intensity of the sound. Where is the sound loud and where is the sound less? Like when we hear it like this, or when I put my ear and then knock it, where will be the sound more? Now with this you can observe very clearly that sound even travels through solid medium as well. There is a very good experiment for this, gramophone. You would have heard. You can make that and you can also understand how the sound travels through solids. So these are a few bunch of experiments which we used to understand how sound travels through a medium, through air, water and then solids. From these activities, we generalize that the sound needs a medium to propagate. Either it can be a solid medium, it can be a liquid medium, or it can be air as a medium. But sound cannot travel in vacuum. That is very clear for us with these activities. In the activity, we saw that when we try to remove the air, the sound, the volume of the sound decreases. And that is why for the propagation of sound, we need a medium. Now in a medium, the sound waves travels from one place to another and we are able to hear each other. You are able to hear me, probably I'm not able to hear you, but you are able to hear your friends in and around you. Dear students, now we'll try to revise what we have learned throughout the class with the help of a few questions. The question number 1 is, how do we humans produce sound? The answer to this is very obvious. We discussed about in the beginning of the class with the few activities that we produce sound with the help of our voice cord or larynx. Now the second question is, what is the length of the vocal cords in males? Yes, you guessed it right. It is 20 millimeter long, and that is why the sound of the males is very thick and it's very loud. The question number 3 is, sound travels in which medium to reach us? My sound is reaching to you with a different medium. Do not think about that, because it is electronic medium. There are different things involved there. But when you are talking with your friends, what is the medium through which the sound is traveling? Yes, you guessed it right. It is the air as a medium with which you are able to listen to your friends and communicate with them. Now you can try this out in a swimming pool. When you are in the swimming pool, try to contact your friends, try to talk with your friends inside water. Do not try it if you are not good at swimming. The next question would be, suppose we are ringing a bell in the vacuum. You have a jar, you removed all the air from it, and there is a bell ringing inside that jar. Will you be able to hear the sound? You can experiment it with the help of few mediums. That activity you can design it yourself. That's a thinking exercise for you. Will you be able to hear the sound? That's the question. Yes, you guessed it very right. We will not be able to hear the sound because traveling of sound needs a medium. In vacuum, there is no medium and hence will not be able to hear the sound. I hope you enjoyed the complete class and you learned various things about that sound. We produce sound with the help of vocal cords and the male count, male, female, children, me, you, everybody has different voice based on their sizes of the vocal cord. And we learned about the different way of propagation of sound, that is air, water and solids. Now, the question which I leave you with in today's class is, in which medium the traveling of the sound is the maximum? Is it the maximum in air, which we generally contact with, or is it maximum in solid or water? The question is open for you all. You can have a thorough discussion with your teacher or with your friends on this particular topic, or you can experiment it and you can comment below, or you can discuss with your teacher on this question. Thank you so much. We'll meet in the next class, next session. Namaste.